It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. You're listening to us in your neighborhood from coast to coast and around the world. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joan Herman, author, speaker, and your host. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. For more than 2 decades, the Life is Good brand has brought smiles, hope, and help to millions. Joining me today are the founders of Life is Good, Bert and John Jacobs. They're here to discuss how they overcame tremendous obstacles in order to build a $100 million clothing company, and they share their Life is Good superpowers that drive optimism. They're the authors of the book, Life is Good. Hi, Bert and John. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Joan. Good to be here. Thank you, Joan.
Bert and John, you guys created the Life is Good brand with $78 and a used minivan. What was your life like for you guys back then? Bert, why don't you start us off?
You know, it was pretty simple. I mean, we were really just, we had recently graduated from college, and we were trying to build a business by designing T-shirts. And we weren't sure how to go about it and couldn't really afford to get in the wholesale game or have a marketing team or anything like that. So it was crude and simple. We were designing the T-shirts, printing them at a local screen printer, and sales was 2 things, either hawking in the street or selling door-to-door in college dormitories.
So, John, what was your inspiration for this idea, Life is Good?
Well, I'd say Bert mentioned the van. We traveled for 5 years to college dorms, and lived on PB&J and slept in the van. And one conversation we had repeatedly, even though we were wildly unsuccessful financially at the time, we were enjoying the ride. And there's one conversation that came up a lot about how the media tended to inundate people with negative information, and all the murders, fires, disasters that we get blasted with. And we recognize a lot of bad things happen in the world, but we don't think a balance is served up sometimes by the news media. And we wondered if people might respond to something simpler, more positive. And we talked about creating a rallying cry for optimists. And that led to one sketch, and we put it up on the wall at a party when we got home one time, and our friends responded so positively to it that we used it at the next street fair we were doing, and we put it out on a table, and it sold like crazy, like nothing we had ever seen. We sold out of 48 shirts in an hour, and that was the beginning. That's where it came from, and it was kind of an immediate response.
I think the big thing there, too, was that, we had kind of 5 years of stumbling along and no great ideas. And this one was both commercially, the idea of those 3 simple words, life is good, it was commercially viable, but it was also something that we felt passionate about. We felt like we could really get behind, and that's what I think worked from the beginning.
So you guys had this great idea, and there are a lot of people out there that have amazing ideas and they don't know what to do with them. So you had this great idea, and you did a test. You were able to sell these shirts out quickly. And then what, John? What did you guys do next to create this empire?
Well, we continued to stumble. We didn't have really a formal business background, but just like we did in the dorms, we started going door to door to retailers to figure out how to sell the retail. But really the most significant thing that happened next was, as the shirts started to get out there through retail partners and sales started to increase, we started receiving letters from people going through great adversity. I mean, first we got letters, sure, from people that loved hiking or gardening or playing sports, but then we also received these letters from people going through chemotherapy, losing loved ones, going through really difficult adversity, and they would say, their hat helped them stay positive, or this shirt is totally embodies what my brother was all about, and really moving letters, and we weren't sure what to do with them, but they were incredibly inspirational. They helped us see the depth of the message, and as the business grew and got a little more stable, it felt like it made a lot of sense to honor the people that inspired us, and that's why we created our Kids Foundation, and we started hosting fundraiser events with the community to raise funds for kids facing poverty, violence, and illness.
Bert, if you had to sum up one of the most important things that someone with one of those great ideas that I talked about, one of the most important things that person needs to make his or her dream come true, what would it be?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that you don't have to have all the answers, and that if you just listen and stay focused, people will give you the answers, because I think that's what happened with us. We really didn't, we didn't have things figured out, but we allowed first our friends at the party, then retailers, and later our employees to solve the business issues with us. That would be number one. Number two would be if your concept is actually something needed in the world, whether it's a product or a service, you can figure out the business mechanics. Anybody can if my brother and I can figure them out, anybody can figure them out. So I think the most important thing is having a truly viable concept, something that you really think fills a gap in the market, or something that is really needed out there. And in our case, it was just simply the idea that people need more optimism. People need to focus more in their lives on what's right than what's wrong. And so since that was needed, it carried us. It really carried us, and eventually we were able to figure out how to run the business. If I could add one more, just the idea of when you get out there and try things rather than just considering and maybe writing a business plan, you either succeed or you learn. So there's no, you could call them failures, but we must have failed, quote, 1,000 times in the dorms, but every time we were learning and adjusting a little bit. So that would be another big piece of advice we'd give is just to get out there and try it and learn. It's a good one, JJ. Like the example of that is a day or a night where we didn't sell a single T-shirt. Most people would look at that as a failure, but we didn't. We look at that as an opportunity to learn, and we said, why didn't we sell a shirt? Maybe it was the wrong colors. Maybe it was the wrong graphics. Maybe it was the wrong time of day or night to be selling. But whatever it was, we didn't look at that day as a failure. Instead, we looked at it and said, okay, we learned a lot. Now let's go back tomorrow and utilize what we learned. So it was actually a gain. So a lot of it is in the way you frame something.
And I was going to say, I agree with what both of you are saying, because that's how I run my business. And I think people get so caught up in, and while a business plan is important, I think they get so caught up in the creation of that plan and then expecting things to be A to B to C to D. And that's not the way it works. And I agree that the flexibility, the way you look at what someone would call a failure as just a learning opportunity, I think that that's the key. I agree with you. So you guys developed what you call superpowers that drive optimism. And I want to talk about these before we run out of time. So you have 10 superpowers, and why do you think that these are so important to someone's life? And let's go to you, John.
Sure. Well, we believe that some people may view optimism as like a soft philosophy, and we feel very much it's a pragmatic strategy for fulfilling goals, for living a happy and fulfilling life. And optimism enables all these superpowers. It enables us to access them, and we call them that. You think of X-ray vision, bullet speed, Herculean strength. When you hear superpowers, these are superpowers accessible to us all, like gratitude and love and simplicity. And so each chapter of the book highlights one of these, and we have stories from our community that support how important each one of these is. And then at the end of each chapter of the book, we have tips for the reader, really relatable, short tips after, the whole book is short vignettes, but it's really a blend of simple, plain-spoken wisdom, and then around it is a lot of fun, the visuals, the top 10 lists, etc. So it's not too heavy or academic, but we feel like it's real relatable advice for the reader to bring these superpowers.
And the only thing I would add to that, I think it's a really good summary of the superpowers, JJ. The only thing I would add is that these are timeless values. So, these are things that would have been powerful in your great-great-grandparents' day and will be powerful in your great-great-grandchildren's day. So, we live in this time where everything's driven by trends and you have to be on the trend fast and off the trend fast. That's not what this book is about. These are timeless values, these superpowers, and easy for everybody to access.
So very briefly, can we just mention what these are and maybe just a sentence or two about each? So, John, let's start with the first one, openness.
Sure. Yeah. Openness, to us, it's about everything is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, so like encouraging people to explore the world. And that doesn't mean, world travel. That could just mean being, picture a young child with their arms open, the way they embrace new experiences. And sometimes as we grow older, we start to fold our arms and get a little more cynical or skeptical. And it's encouraging people to engage with the world and new experiences like that young kid. And there's a, concept central to improv comedy about yes and, kind of like supporting each other's ideas in order to get to a better answer. That could be in the business world or in your family communication, but like augmenting each other's ideas and building on that. That's how I view openness. And there's a section called "There's No Place Like Rome," and again, it could just be in your mind being willing to embrace new kind of books, new kinds of movies, and letting new stuff in order to grow.
And another one that I thought was really key is gratitude. Bert, how about that one?
Sure. I mean, this one we learned from our customer base that the people who face the most difficult things in the world are the ones who embrace the idea that life is good the most. Why? Because they have a heightened gratitude. So if you and I ate a sandwich today, it might just be a sandwich. But if we'd been in the hospital for 6 months eating through a tube, that wouldn't just be a sandwich. So gratitude itself, the recognition that all the things that maybe we would take for granted around us shouldn't be taken for granted, really is powerful and can change your life, because all of us have lots of things to be grateful for today. So I guess if I were to summarize, there's a short phrase we use at Life is Good. We don't allow people to say, I have to go to a meeting, I have to go grocery shopping, I have to do the laundry. You get to do the laundry if you're standing on two legs. You get to go grocery shopping if you can read the labels with your own eyes, because we heard from people who are blind. We heard from people who lost a limb in an accident, etc. So we find that every day, just being grateful for the things you have. If you live in a home, you should be grateful for that. It may not be the biggest home in the world. That is really empowering and something that really can be life-changing to people.
And the other superpowers that they write about are courage, simplicity, humor, compassion, fun, creativity, authenticity, and love. And you can read about these in their book, Life is Good. Guys, very quickly, before we run out of time, 10% of Life is Good's annual net profits go to helping kids overcome poverty, violence, and illness. And the Life is Good Kids Foundation works to ensure that quality care is delivered to kids in need. So how important do you guys think it is for companies to give back? Let's go to you on this one, Bert.
Well, we prefer not to think about giving back, because the connotation with that term is that you should make a pile of money and then give something back. We believe that all businesses should integrate a social cause, and capitalistically, all ships can rise. So in this day and age where consumers really have a voice in things, they're building businesses that are making the world a better place. So we don't look at it as giving back. We look at it as though all businesses should align a social cause with what they do. We think it's critically important, and we think it's where business is headed right now. The best businesses are doing it right now, and consumers are showing every day more and more that they want to contribute to the businesses that are making the world a better place.
The book is Life is Good by Bert and John Jacobs. If you would like to learn more about the Jacobs brothers and their work, you can visit the website lifeisgood.com. John, in our final moments, do you have any thoughts that you would like to leave our listeners with?
Well, just that we think that optimism is a choice you can make every day, and that you can choose to focus on the obstacles in your life, and we all have them, the obstacles, the challenges, or you can focus on the opportunity. And when you do that, you can acknowledge the hard stuff. We all have to do that. But if you can focus on the opportunity and growing the good in your life, that's what's going to happen. What you focus on grows. That's what I would end with.
Bert and John, it is great to have you guys here on the show. With a show called Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, this is the perfect place for both of you to be, and I'm so happy to have had the opportunity to interview you and for your message to help spread it. Keep it simple. Life is good, period. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Joan. Keep up the good work.
Bye, Joan.
We'll be right back. Hi, this is Joan Herman, host of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Did you know that Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life has a free monthly digital magazine that can be read online or emailed to your inbox? Every month, nationally recognized leaders in their field provide information to educate, inspire, and motivate you. We believe in a holistic approach to life, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. Check out a copy of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life 24/7. Visit cyacyl.com and be sure to tell your friends. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.